Hey y'all, Tracy here. Welcome back to my mini chaos. Happy Halloween! It's spooky season, so I decided to make a spooky jar. First, I created a little ghost by soaking some fabric in watered down glue and letting it dry in a ghost-like shape. I recycled some bits of wire that I salvaged from twist ties and other trash to form the basic shape of a tree. My goal was to make this tree look like the typical scary tree you might see in a Halloween drawing or cartoon. You know, all thin and twisty with limbs that almost look like they want to claw at you. I just wanted this tree to give off some creepy vibes. Then I covered these wires in paper mache by using some toilet paper and the same glue mixture that I used to create my ghost. While the tree was drying, I made a couple of pumpkins using some beads and air dry clay. To get the pumpkin color, I mixed orange and yellow ochre. I made the stems by stiffening some string with glue and brown paint. I added a brown wash and later I dry brushed it with white. So egg cartons have the perfect texture to make tombstones. Egg cartons are pretty thin, so I doubled up with 2 layers. I painted a base coat of black, a thin coat of gray, and then I highlighted with white. I drew some crosses on the smaller tombstone and put RIP on the bigger one. Rest in peace. Now that the tree is dry, it's time to paint. First I painted it gray, and then brown, and then I added a black wash off camera, and finally, you guessed it, I dry brushed it with white. If you didn't know, dry brushing with white is a common practice to add highlights and make textures more visible. Here is when I decided my ground was too flat, so I built it up on one side to make a little hill for the tree to sit on. Later, I realized this made the top of my tree sit much closer to the lid of the jar. But I got lucky and I was still able to close the lid once my project was complete. Yep, that seems pretty secure. Now to glue down more moss. Initially, I used a twist tie inside the ghost because I wanted it to be able to jiggle around a little bit when you pick up the jar, to give the illusion that the ghost is hovering by itself. But the twist tie was not strong enough, so I ended up adding support with a toothpick, and then I covered it with moss so that it would hopefully blend into the background and still give the illusion that the ghost is hovering. Here I am making a little gnome witch to live inside the jar. Instead of the typical gnome, this one has a witch's hat and a pointy nose. I painted her clothes all black, painted the nose green, and added a purple band around the hat with a tiny buckle. To make the weeds, I shredded some raffia strands into thin, grass-like blades with my pick tool. Then I just bunched them together and glued them down. Tell me, what do you think of my hot glue spider web? It's not exactly what I envisioned, but it will do. I am happy with the spiders I made. I used some tiny beads for the bodies, painted them black of course, and I used some of the grass fibers to make the legs. I made the fibers too long so that it was easier to attach them, and then I just trimmed down the length. Alright, time to put this into the jar. I used fabric and watered down glue to make this little dome to diffuse the LED fairy lights that I am attaching to the lid. I attached the battery pack with some adhesive Velcro strips, and that way the batteries can be changed whenever they die. Okay, here is the final look of my spooky jar. Now it's trick-or-treat time. If you liked it, please give me a treat by hitting that like button, or if you don't like it, you can give me a trick and hit the dislike button. Either way, I hope you all have a safe and spooky Halloween, and you have a wonderful night. See you in the next video. Bye!